Hello, welcome back to Heuristic Mathematics. I'm Miss Janelle again. So today we're going through the episode 2 of Primary School Bridging and Head Start series. So I hope you'll benefit from our very first questions that we actually go through, which is the before and after. So today I'm going to go through 3 questions. So every series I'll be touching a bit on the different kind of like solving methods and techniques. So I might not be able to go in depth because after all this is just like a short video to actually help your child actually understand and maybe hopefully learn how to identify and be able to start the question. So if you actually find the techniques actually useful, please follow us on Facebook and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you actually think that like, oh, it's really useful, but like it is not enough, you might want to stay tuned to our Facebook and stay tuned to our YouTube. We will be telling you all more about our holiday program in November and December that will actually help your child to bridge the gap between this year and next year. We also have a secondary school series. Please stay tuned and more videos will be uploaded. We will be uploading videos weekly on Wednesday. Let's begin our questions. So going to start with this question 5. So Timothy and Claudia had $672 altogether. When Timothy gave Claudia $35, Claudia had 6 times as much money as Timothy. How much more money had Claudia than Timothy at first? So a question like this, okay, if you are not looking at the title, right? I'm not sure whether how many of you is able to actually identify the question type already. So the previous session, I went through one question that is on before and after. So this question is also happen to be before and after. How many of you managed to spot that without me saying and without looking at the title of the file? So it's slightly different from the previous one because previous one, we talk about the question, both of them spend some money. They can be spend some money, use some money, or it can be internal transfer as per what I say the previous session. So this one happened to be an internal transfer whereby Timothy give Claudia $35. Please note for questions of such whereby there is internal transfer, like one gave the other, the total remain unchanged. That is really useful for us to solve questions like this and keep in mind so that when you draw a model or if you are doing visualization, it will help you to not go haywire. So I'm going to do model still because this is just our second question. And then I think many of you are like not familiar with questions of such. So I'm going to draw a bar and then I'm going to draw another bar here. Make a guess, maybe if for the students or for parents that are actually joining us or watching this video, make a guess where am I starting from for this question. Am I starting from the 672 and then Timothy, or the second sentence whereby Timothy gave Claudia $35, or is it the third part of the sentence whereby they talk about Claudia has 6 times as much money as Timothy? Previous question I actually say that like we always start from equal if there's an equal. Anywhere in the question I'll start from equal because it's easier to draw a model and gauge the proportion of the model. But in event of we do not have equal like this question, I will start from the either fraction, let's say they say 1/6 of money, like Claudia had 1/6 as much as Timothy, or in this case we have Claudia 6 times as much money as Timothy. So meaning I will be starting from this sentence for this question. So again it's a work backwards. So notice that I never go through the one that is like not going backwards because that one actually is easier. For working backwards, for many students, they have problem with visualizing like before, how do we get back to before. So this one, I'm going to cut this into 6, 2, 3. Okay, so maybe this is not well done. Let me add on. Okay, so this is 6 units. So after we get the 6 units, read backwards because we are working backwards. So I'm moving on to the green part here, whereby they say Timothy gave Claudia $35. So means, remember, this is after Timothy gave Claudia $35. So if I want to go back to Timothy before he gave, he should have more. Yeah, so he should have more. So I'm adding this one, or we have this. He should have more. And I don't know how much is this, so I somehow draw it's about 2.5. So this amount is given to Claudia. Something like that. So this is given to Claudia. Okay, for a question like this, actually you do not need to do this part. Reason why? Because just now I already say that when you do internal transfer, please note the total never change. So some people, right, after they cut here, right, then they will get confused. Some of the students, they will get confused here. So if you can understand what I say just now about the internal transfer, you will be able to know straight away, like for this whole part, without the green part here, it is actually telling us say that these 6 units here, which is the total, is unchanged. So total unchanged, and we were given the total right from the start. So right from the start, right, the total is actually equals to 7672. And that means that our 7 units is equals to 672, correct? Then we can actually start to find at least 1 unit. So for those that will get confused with the random green cut that we were doing earlier on, we can start with this first. I'll explain the green color again. So we have 762. If we divide by 7, we get 96. We have $96 here. So this $96 here represents each unit that we have here, which is in the end. How do we get to the at first? Because every time after we find 1 unit, the aim is always to read back the question to find what the question actually want. So the question here actually want us to find how much more money Claudia than Timothy at first. So I want to find at first. So just now, what we were saying is here, and then this amount is equals to the giveaway from Timothy to Claudia, correct? And then the amount that Timothy gave to Claudia happens to be $35. So this is 35, this is 35. So what we need to do is we can find Claudia first, because it's easier to find Claudia, because as you can see, if I find Claudia and I minus away the 35, I'll be able to find Claudia at first, because at first Claudia do not have the amount that is given from Timothy. So if I want to find Claudia, I will find the 6 units first, which is easier for me to do. So I have 96 times 6. We will have 576. And to find Claudia at first, we will have Claudia at first will be equals to 576 minus away the amount that she received from Timothy, which is equals to minus 35. She will have 541. That should be the answer. So I hope this is clear enough. So for those that are a bit confused, right? Because like some students, they feel that like since we highlight such a big part, it should not be 35. Like the portion of how big you highlight it, right? It doesn't matter, because we do not know 1 unit is how much at the point when we were drawing the model. If you actually draw the green part first. So it's help us to gauge or help us to visualize the, if you want to go back to at first, what should we actually count, and then what should we actually minus off from, in order for us to see how much Claudia have at first. Then after this, we still need to find more, right? The question actually want us to find how much more money Claudia had than Timothy at first. So we actually get like Claudia 541. Then I need to find Timothy at first. So for Timothy at first, I will actually need to find the 1 unit, which is 96, and I'll need to plus 35. This give me 131. And then I will need to find the difference. So difference will be equals to 541 minus away 131. I will get 410. So that should be our answer. So I hope that you are actually following for the whole question. This should be a form-up question. It can appear in P4 and it can also appear in P5. Moving on, let's try a harder question. So maybe if you all look at this question, how do you all think you all will actually start the question? Are you able to spot what kind of question type is this? So this is under whole number. As you can see, the question is about money. So they are talking about donuts and cupcakes. And then they were sold in packets by ABC Bakery. Mrs. Kumar, Mrs. Fazal, and Mrs. Leon brought donuts and cupcakes at the price shown below. So if Mrs. Kumar wanted to spend an equal amount of money on donuts and cupcakes, find the minimum number of packets of cupcakes she bought. How do you actually start a question like this? Okay, there's one trick that I always tell my student. If you actually see questions like this and then they draw you about like the donuts and the cupcakes are sold in either packets or packs or in boxes or in, as long as in bundle, they are not sold individually. There's no a la carte selling of individual donuts or cupcakes. Please do not find one donut and one cupcake is equals to how much, because the moment you do that, you will be counted as you do wrong. Because question whereby they sell in packets, boxes, etc., they are testing grouping. Most of the time when they draw you picture like this, it means grouping. Sometimes they don't draw, but if they draw, most of the time it is grouping. So bear that in mind. And they will always have a sentence that say this. In A, they say that Mrs. Kumar wanted to spend an equal amount of money. This is a hint to tell you and confirm that it is a grouping question. So you need to have equal amount of money spent on donut and cupcakes. Okay, so need to be very clear, because sometimes they will tell you say it's buy equal number of donuts and cupcakes. Here is spend equal amount of money and cupcakes. So I'm going to highlight the money here so that we all focus on the money, because it's equal amount of money that we actually aim to do. This is very important, because when we see equal amount of money or equal amount of cupcakes and donuts, our first step is to find the lower common multiple of what they actually want to find. So in this case, they want to find the amount of money. So this is the lowest common multiple of the money, which in this case of $12 and $15. I'll need to list down the lowest common multiple of 12 and 15. Some students, if you are not too good with your timetable, then maybe you need to list it down. But if those that actually can get what I'm talking about, I think for 12, right, our lowest we can go to is $60. 15 is also $60. So 12 times 5 give me 60. 15 times 4 give me 60. So just for presentation's sake, you need not write this in exam, because the teacher will understand what you are actually doing. So you can just write your lowest common multiple equal to 60. Yeah, but this for presentation's sake for students that maybe did not follow what I'm talking about. So 60, so our common multiple is 60. So common multiple is equal to $60. Bear that in mind, and then we need to know what to do next. So for this part, we say that for the $15, we're going to multiply 4 here. Here we're going to multiply 5 here. Then the question wants us to find the minimum number of cupcakes she bought. So I'm going to focus on the cupcakes she bought for A, this one. So A, minimum cupcakes purchase, will be equals to 6 times 4. Then straight away I get 24. That's basically my answer for A, which is 2 marks. So the 2 marks is rewarded for you being able to see that you need to find the lowest common multiple. And then to able to understand that if you want to spend at least a $60, because 60 is the lowest possible number that Mrs. Kumar will spend an equal amount of money on both donuts and cupcakes. So when she spends $60 for cupcakes, she will actually have to buy 4 packs of that. Each pack contains 6. So I will actually need to take 4 times 6. So after this, the next question that we actually need to do is B. For B, Mrs. Leong bought some packets of donuts and Mrs. Fazal spent $84 on donuts. Mrs. Fazal then gave Mrs. Leong 20 donuts. In the end, Mrs. Fazal had 88 more donuts than Mrs. Leong. How many packets of donuts did Mrs. Leong buy? Okay. So some students will actually get stuck. They will think that in front is actually grouping, right? So does it mean that in the end, the part B, we also need to do grouping? They might not be the same kind of question. Sometimes they can ask grouping at first. B might be guess and check. This one is not a guess and check. It can be another type of question. So note the keywords here. Question say that Mrs. Fajal spent $84 on donuts, and then Mrs. Fajal gave Mrs. Leong 20 donuts. In the end, Mrs. Fajal still have 88 more donuts than Mrs. Leong. Question of such, it tell me say that if you are not able to follow until here, right, I think it's better that we actually try to present it in model, because they are giving a few information all together, and it seems a bit like a before and after to a certain extent. So I'm going to start with noting the amount of donuts. So the amount of donuts, let's say for L, which is Mrs. Leong, Mrs. Leong equals to, okay, I'm going to start with this one. And then Mrs. Fazal will have 88 more donuts than Mrs. Leong. Okay. Okay, Mrs. Fazal give Mrs. Leong 20. So we put a 20 here. And then we have this amount. And then Mrs. Fazal used to have 20 here. And then after giving Mrs. Leong, she still have 88 more. So this is the 88 more. So to help us see better, this part, I also work hard and put 20 in. Because the 88 more is after the 20. So hopefully this will actually help you to actually visualize. This part is given from Mrs. Fazal to Mrs. Leong. So this represents the amount of donuts, the change in the amount of donuts. And then total here, I think we should be able to find how many donuts Mrs. Fazal actually purchased. So here is a 1 unit, here is 1 unit, but behind one is all numbers. So I think we can start from this sentence after we draw model, because this line is supposed to help me to find the number of donuts Mrs. Fazal actually have. So because I have not enough space, I'm going to do it on the left hand side. So for us to actually go on, she spent $84. So if she spent $84, I think we need to take 84 and then we need to divide by the number of packets. So we need to divide by $12, find the number of packets that she actually purchased. So if I divide by 4, I get 7 here. So means 7. This is 7 set of 4 packets. So after getting this, my next step is I want to find how many donuts is there. So 7 sets of 4 packs. So 4 pack is equals to how much? I will need to actually find that. So 1 pack is equals to 8 donuts, as we can actually see from the picture. So if we want to find 4 packs, we will actually have 8 times 4. We get 32. And then we need 7 sets of them. So 7 times 32, we should be able to get 224. So meaning here, this part, I get 224 donuts. Is a bit higher order question for this one. So with that, right, we will be able to at least find the 1 unit is equals to how much. Because once we find 1 unit is equals to how much, we will be able to find Mrs. Leong purchased how many donuts. Because the question here is actually asking us to find how many packets of donut did Mrs. Leong buy. So here, what we need to do is we take 224, and then we need to minus off all the numbers that we know for behind for Mrs. Fazal. So we're going to minus 20, and then after that minus 88, and then minus another 20. Because the 224 is basically the total amount that she actually have at first, before giving away the 20 to Mrs. Leong. So after minusing all this, we get 96. After we get 96, we're very clear that this is the number of donuts. So in order to find Mrs. Leong purchased how many donuts, I'll need to take this 96 and then plus 20. Oh wait, I think we don't need plus 20 because the 20 is received from Mrs. Fazal. So Mrs. Leong basically just only have 1 unit. So I think they are tricking us. So we have 96 donuts. So after we get 96 donuts, right, the next step that we actually need to do is we need to find the number of packs of donuts purchased. So for us to find that, we need to take 96, divide by 4. Oh, divide by 8. Because per pack there's 8 donuts. So to find how many packs purchased, it will be equals to 96 divided 8, which is equals to 12 packs. So basically that's the answer. So our answer for A is equals to 24 packs. And answer for B is equals to 12 packs. I hope you all still follow this question. This is a 5-mark question. It's a PSLE question. It's in one of the top school prelim paper. And I think one of the year they also come up with some similar questions or such. So after this, we're going to go through a lighter question, which I hope you all are still able to follow till here. Next question we're going to go on to is this one. It's called the gap and difference question. Many students actually like this because it can be a potential 4-mark question. The step is actually quite straightforward, but you just need to be able to spot the question type. So questions actually go like this for question 3. Jason has some money and he plans to give to his children. If he gave $40 to each of them, he will have $50 left. If he gave $45 to each of them, he will have $20 left. How many children does Jason have? So for a question like this, right, if you know that there's for the question when they give you a person or a thing and then they start to distribute it differently. When I say to distribute it differently, is the total remain unchanged for the person or for the thing that they are distributing. And then there will be two separate sentences. One sentence, he's distributing his money by giving $40 to each of the person. Or he can have like fruits that he's going to put them into different packets, boxes, etc. And then he'll give you, say, he have $50 left, or he have $50 excess, or 50 something in excess, those kind of thing. Then they'll give you a second sentence whereby he distributes what he has differently. In this case, he distributes his money differently by giving each of his child $45 each. And then it results in he left $20. Question like this, you should be able to spot that is a gap and different. Standard step that you need to do minus, divide. First three steps is quite fixed. So minus, the first step of minusing, you can either find a big difference first, or you can find a small difference first. It doesn't make a difference. Yeah, so you can find big difference, small difference. What does it mean by big difference and small difference for those that are like pretty new to this kind of question or never really learned how to actually do this kind of question to begin with? So big difference actually means like the distribution that he distribute is different. So at first he distribute $40 to each, and then later he distribute $45 to each of them. So the distribution is different. That's the big difference. So $40 minus away $35. The distribution is different by $5. So you can, this can be, if you are confused with big and small, it doesn't matter. As long as you know that you need to find two difference. So one difference is this. Another difference is the difference that is caused by the distribution. So because he distributed the amount differently, it resulted in him in the first scenario to have $50 left. And in the second scenario, he has $20 left. So there's a difference between $50 and $20, which is $30. This difference of $30 is caused by the different distribution. Like the first distribution, he gave each of his child like more money. Second one, he gave each of them lesser money. So that's why it resulted in the differences. So after you get this, the next step is always take the bigger amount, divide by the smaller amount. So in this case, 30 is bigger than 5. So if I divide by 5, I will get 6. So many students will get stuck at this step, whereby they are able to memorize the first three steps to minus, and divide. So they will be stuck about what this 6 is about. Like they are not sure, is this $6? Is this 6 children, or is this like 6? Yeah, they just not sure what the 6 is actually representing. So I always tell my students say that like if you are confused, maybe you can put the dollar signs or put something to actually help you see. So let's say the first two is both money, right? If you divide already, money divide money, you will never get back money. So in this case, you are getting the group. Like it can be the group, or in current example here is actually the children. So this 6, right, actually just give us the number of children that Jason actually have already. That's for A. And then if you actually want to find B, because normally they will have they might not give it as part 1 and part 2 question. They will just straight away jump into how much money Jason have at first. So you need to be able to identify that this is 6 children in order for you to find how much money Jason have at first. So to find that, we can go back to either one of the highlighted sentence. So let me show you what I mean by either one of the highlighted sentence. So let's say if I'm doing the first highlighted sentence, which is in yellow, I'm going to type it in orange color so that you can see that it's related to the first one. So scenario 1. Scenario 1, we have like he gave $40 each of them. So $40 to each of them, and then he has 6 children, right? So he will have $50 left. So I plus back $50 because that's what he left. means the total amount of money that he has is equals to 40 times 6, which is the amount he gave to his children, and then plus back $50 that he has left. The amount here you have is 290. My explanation is a bit longer here because it's a video, and then like I'm not sure the standard of the student actually watching this. So I'm trying to be as thorough as possible. So I hopefully everyone actually catch what I'm talking about. So for students that actually get it faster, good. Then maybe you can PM and then let me know like how do you all actually find the question, and then what kind of question do you all actually want me to actually go through. If I can, I will plug 1 or 2 suggestions, and then I will go through some of the questions that you actually mentioned. And for those that feel that they want to do higher order question, more advanced question, or they have a lot of questions that they cannot do, then maybe it's better to PM us at Heuristic Mathematics and then drop us a message or join us for our holiday program, which is supposed to be booster camp that will actually bridge the gap between this year and next year and help students to have a head start of their peers. So scenario 2 here, we have like 45, and then we're going to times 6 again, and then we're going to plus 20. So if I times this, I should get still the same amount. So that's why I'm saying that like you can actually use either one of the highlighted one to actually to find your answer for B. So for some students that are not sure, they can do one and then use the other one to check. Yeah, you're supposed to have the same number. If you do not have the same number, means you did something wrong. So answer for total amount for B, A is basically equals to 6, B is basically equals to $290, which is the total amount of money that Jason had at first. So I hope you all actually follow what I'm actually going through for today. So the questions that we went through today is before and after, and grouping, and also gap and difference. Hopefully this series will actually help you all to understand a bit more. And please leave a comment below and give me a thumbs up if you actually find our video useful. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all enjoy learning mathematics every single day. Yeah, hope to see you next week.